Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith. I think I've got you set too high there or something. I don't know. There I am. How are you all today? Welcome to everybody. Welcome to all of our new subscribers, both on YouTube and on Patreon. I have to always remember to say that because we're having so many people join. Both channels are growing so well. It's astounding to me. And thank you all. It's great to have you here. If you're wondering how to join us over on Patreon, I always put the link down here in both the information section and a pinned comment. So that helps you get over there. By the way, I just got a bunch of orders in for books, by the way. I stop by the post office about once a week and pick up all the orders for books. For those of you wanting to know how to get my books, those links are also down there. And as well as how to get autographed copies. I want to talk for just a minute about good guys with guns. We have several situations today that just happened today. I guess one happened yesterday. Or maybe not, it just happened today, about good guys with guns. We've got plenty of news and are going to continue to have plenty of news about bad guys with guns. I guess, of course, they're going through all their little kabuki theater about gun control now. And we have the morons like Matthew McConaughey, the great actor, right, who, because he's an actor, has many opinions that he feels the need to share with the world, and other people who have no dimension themselves, listen to every word they say. That's how a nation gets run by idiots, isn't it? I was going to make one. I'm sticking this in, and ahead of the one I was going to make in a little while, about the truth of certain things. The truth will set you free, although apparently it butt hurts some people, right? I guess I butt hurt some people with yesterday's. I'm going to talk about that in the next one. As well as the truth, more truth coming out about Uvalde. Interesting. But on this one, several things just jumped up on my way to my haircut today. Yes, I got a haircut. I heard on the news a couple of things, and I got back home and checked. We had police killed a guy down in Gadsden, Alabama, who somebody called in and say he was, how did they say? Not viciously, somehow energetically trying to get into cars in the parking lot and then trying to get in the doors of the school. Okay, so a school resource officer approaches the man, makes contact as they should, and then calls for backup. This is the information that we have so far. Calls for backup, and apparently a city policeman, I believe it was, could have been a sheriff, I don't know. A city policeman shows up, at which time an altercation ensues, and the guy ends up getting shot dead. Details are going to come out of this, but whenever you have, because I've been in these situations so many times, whenever you have a man acting like that, especially around a school nowadays, you are going to be very, very careful. And when he starts really getting out of bounds with two officers there, you have a developing situation that needs to be concluded as quickly as possible. Now, could this have been a medical situation? Those are always possibilities. Could it have been a drug-induced situation? Those are always possibilities. However, potentially violent behavior against police in the area of a school, that guy got killed. Second one that I just now saw, in Maryland, 3 people shot at some kind of factory. A state trooper, I believe it was, shows up, confronts the shooter. Shooter shoots the trooper in the shoulder, and the trooper kills him dead. Concluded. Okay, good. Now I want to read to you, and then I just happened to see this pop up on our local news from Kansas City. This is how a lot of street shootings happen, and I think a lot of people don't realize this. You see, so much of the violence, as many of you do, many of you realize this, so much of the gun violence, which really is people violence who happen to have a gun instead of a knife at the time, or a stick, or a board, or a brick, or their fists, or their feet, or their teeth, or a beer bottle, or whatever. So much of it happens in the most ridiculous ways you can imagine. If you haven't been a city cop, you can't imagine the idiotic ways that people get killed and kill other people. Here's one of them. And this funny thing here is that this happened right around the block in the area of 39th and Main in Kansas City. Right around the block from a story that I told, I think it was on Patreon, about something that happened to me one time, and 2 blocks from where I was involved in something that I can't talk about. So let me read this. Kansas City, Missouri. For those of you who don't know, there's 2 Kansas Cities. Everybody thinks, who hasn't been here, they think that Kansas City is in Kansas because the first word is Kansas. No, the big one is in Missouri. Kansas City, Kansas, across the river, is a smaller Kansas City, and it's always referred to as Kansas City, Kansas, or KCK. But usually when you're talking about Kansas City, you're talking about Kansas City, Missouri. That's where the big buildings are, where the downtown is, where the big hood is. Although KCK is catching up in the hoodways. Okay, Kansas City, Missouri. A shooting that began inside a Kansas City barber shop. These are so funny. And left an employee injured, was allegedly carried out by a customer who was unhappy with his haircut. Vernie O. Dickens, 33, was charged Friday with first-degree assault. Friday. Today better not be Friday. Yeah, I don't know. I think they've got, the quality of journalism is coming. Anyway, he was charged, probably means today, I don't know, with first-degree assault, unlawful weapon use, and 2 counts of armed criminal action in connection with a shooting that occurred. Last week. Still applies. Inside Drake's, I don't know, Draques', Drake's Barbershop, whatever, at 106 West 39th Street in Kansas City's Hanover Place neighborhood. That's a fun way of saying the hood. He is currently being held in Jackson County Jail on a $75,000 bond. As opposed to that girl who pointed the gun at the cops, right? Over there, you remember that? The one that they shot? And all the media across the country was saying, Kansas City police shot a pregnant woman. So they let out the body cam footage and showed her running by, pointing the gun at the cops. She got off on $2,500. This guy's in on $75,000. He must not know the right people. Okay, according to court records, Kansas City police were called on June 2nd to the area of 39th Street and Wyandotte Avenue, that's 1 block west of Main, on a reported disturbance involving a weapon. When officers arrived, they found a man sitting on top of the suspect, identified by authorities as Dickens, in the backyard of a nearby residence. The gunshot victim had already been taken to a hospital by a private vehicle. Dickens was taken into custody and transported to a hospital for medical evaluation according to charging documents. Witnesses told police that they overheard an argument involving Dickens about the haircut he got at the shop the day prior. He was not charged for the job, witnesses said, and purportedly returned to have the cut corrected. Come in, guys. Come on in. I'm making a video. I'll be done in half a second, right?
Howdy, guys.
That's Hallie that you behind it. There, how you doing, buddy? Talking about a shooting that happened down in Kansas City. So it says the barber who cut his hair the day before was not at the shop. Witnesses told police after another barber asked him to take a seat and wait, Dickens allegedly became agitated and began yelling. That happens all the time in a hood. Oh, they're not putting up the video on this. Interesting. The barber threatened to call the police. That's when Dickens allegedly pulled a gun. Oh, yeah. And fired 2 shots at the barber, who ran for the front door and was chased down through the parking lot. One of the witnesses, the man who held Dickens down until the police arrived, said he was inside the shop waiting on his cousin to get a haircut. After the shooting started, he told the police he retrieved a gun from his car and went around the corner to find Dickens standing over the victim while pointing a handgun at him. The witness said he pleaded with Dickens to stop. I think I know what's going on here, but I'm not going to say. Some of you also know what's going on, but I don't want to. Okay. Then there was some sort of malfunction that caused the clip, they mean magazine, but, to fall out, which means the guy didn't know how to use his gun, right? Did you all see on Patreon the one that I put up about the kid robbing the store? And when he shot one, the 12-year-old who went in to rob a store, and he says, "Give me the cash," put the cash in the bag, and then he shoots one, and the woman says, "You got to be kidding me." He shoots one in the ceiling, and then obviously had a failure to eject, some kind of jam, and so he's fiddling with his gun. These people, they carry these guns around, and they don't know how to use them. They kill plenty of people by not knowing how to use them, but they haven't been to training, okay? These are the people that are responsible for most of the violence in our country, whether it be gun violence, knife violence, brick violence, you remember the list. So back there, we have some sort of malfunction that caused the magazine to fall out, and recognizing his chance to intervene, he rushed Dickens and got the gun away from him, the witness told police. Interesting that he jumped right in, apparently got the gun away from the guy instead of using his own gun. And I have my opinions about that. 5 other witnesses. Now some people will jump on and say, "See, you don't need a gun. He just reasoned with him and took the gun away. Why can't we just," Uncle Joe will say this, "why can't we just take the guns away from these people?" You'd be surprised how often that won't work. 5 other witnesses said they saw or heard the encounter between Dickens and the victim. One reported there were children inside sitting near a bench by the front door when Dickens started shooting. That's how all these kids get killed in the hood. Some moron adult who doesn't know how to use a gun, has a gun in his pocket, and just starts shooting around. Continuing, the gunshot victim was interviewed by police at a hospital. He described running out the front door, hearing gunfire, and attempting to jump a fence near the property when he realized he had been shot in the back. Lesson here. Probably got shot with a 9mm. You know how many people get shot with 9mm and don't realize they've been shot? Those of you who needed an additional lesson on why you need to jump up from 9mm. I bet if he'd been shot by, slip of the tongue, if he'd been shot by a 40 or a 45, he'd have known he'd been shot. Okay, so he attempted to jump a fence near the property when he realized he'd been shot in the back. Then he laid on the ground with his hands spread out as Dickens allegedly stood over him. The gunshot victim told investigators he believed Dickens was going to execute him and was preparing to fire the gun again before the weapon malfunctioned and the customer intervened. Under Missouri law, Dickens faces up to 15 years in prison for the assault charge, 30 years for unlawful weapon use, 15 years on each count of armed criminal action. Okay, well, we're going to be supporting that guy for a long time, aren't we? Here he tries to shoot somebody, tries to kill somebody with kids around, right? And instead of bringing it to a conclusion at that time, everybody can feel what they want to on that. Now we'll be supporting his ass for a long time while he takes long, hot showers and lifts weights and talks with his bros about how to be a better criminal. Good guys with guns. There needs to be more good guys with guns, because there are plenty of bad guys with guns. You all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Prepare well today by making sure that you are carrying, you are ready, and you know how to use your tools. I'll be back later about whether you are enlightened or butthurt by the truth. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.